Imagine a war that lasted less than 1 hour. It sounds impossible, almost unbelievable in modern history. Yet in 1896, such a war actually took place. It became known as the shortest war ever fought. The war was between Britain and Zanzibar, an island nation. Zanzibar had a sultan who opposed British control. When the previous sultan died unexpectedly, a succession crisis arose. A new sultan seized power without British approval immediately. Britain demanded he step down peacefully to avoid conflict. The Sultan refused and prepared his defences quickly. He had a small army and a few naval ships. The British fleet stationed itself just off the coast. Tensions escalated as both sides prepared to fight. On August 27, 1896, the British issued a final ultimatum. They demanded surrender within 1 hour of the warning. The Sultan ignored the demand, confident in his defences. At exactly 9:02 a.m., British ships opened fire on the palace. Cannons fired shells that exploded across the Sultan's fortifications. The Sultan's small naval vessels returned fire with minimal success. Buildings and gun emplacements were quickly destroyed by heavy artillery. Within minutes, chaos erupted across Zanzibar's defensive positions. The Sultan's palace was engulfed in smoke and flames. His forces were overwhelmed and unable to mount resistance. Most defenders fled or surrendered to avoid further death. At 9:40 a.m., only 38 minutes after the battle began, the Sultan raised a white flag signaling surrender. The war was officially over before many could comprehend it. Zanzibar had suffered dozens of casualties in this short conflict. British losses were minimal, with only one sailor injured. The Sultan fled to German East Africa for refuge afterward. The conflict became famous worldwide for its absurdly brief duration. It proved that modern military firepower could overwhelm quickly. This 38-minute war remains a historical curiosity today. It shows how diplomacy, timing, and technology shaped conflicts. Some historians marvel at how a nation fell so fast. Others study it as an example of colonial dominance in Africa. Despite its brevity, the war had lasting consequences immediately. Zanzibar became a British protectorate under strict control afterwards. The Sultanate lost much of its autonomy permanently and quickly. Local governance was altered to ensure compliance with British interests. The war is often cited in trivia and history lessons. It demonstrates how a conflict doesn't have to be long. Strategy, overwhelming force, and technology can determine outcomes instantly. For just 38 minutes, Zanzibar experienced devastation few could imagine. History sometimes produces events so brief yet significant. The shortest war illustrates the human cost of colonial power. It reminds us that even a single hour can change nations. Time in war is not always measured by months or years. The story continues to fascinate historians, students, and curious minds. Maps, records, and eyewitness accounts preserve every minute of battle. Military analysts still examine the strategies used by both sides. Lessons of compliance, diplomacy, and technology remain relevant today. In the end, Zanzibar's brief resistance became legendary worldwide. Its surrender demonstrated the futility of fighting a superior force. The war earned its place in history for its brevity. A conflict lasting only 38 minutes will never be forgotten. Even today, people marvel at how quickly the war ended. The Sultan's defiance, the British fleet, and the outcome amaze. It stands as a reminder of how history can be strange. Sometimes the shortest events leave the longest impressions on memory.